Welcome to another episode of Be a Leader podcast, where we talk about leadership with the leadership lens within sports, business, and the military. And today we're going to talk about sports. We're going to talk about two big comebacks that we saw in college football this past weekend, November the 15th of November, 2025. All right, so let's get started. So the first game is going to be South Carolina at Texas A&M. South Carolina, unranked, very good team, playing at number 3 Texas A&M. Texas A&M, they're 10-0 for the first time since 1992. They think they have a great shot at getting to the college football playoffs and winning the whole thing. So this is a big game for them. They're playing at home, but they came out. I don't know if they came out. There was no spirit. There was no emotion. There was no drive. It almost felt like they assumed South Carolina was going to give them a win. The quarterback, Marcel Reed, had 2 interceptions. He even dropped the ball as a fumble, and a big defensive lineman got his dream, scooping it up for a score. Big lineman getting a touchdown. The first half was just a disaster for them. And they played like I said, like they were owed the win. They were down 30-3 at half. It was a 27-point deficit. Again, a number 3 ranked, undefeated Texas A&M just completely laid an egg in that first half. So this goes to the first point I want to make. When you stop respecting your opponents, you stop respecting your standards. And standards are there for a reason. It's how you show up. It's how you perform. And showing up, assuming you're going to get a victory, you start just to be lazy. A&M was clearly the more talented team. The Aggies are just more talent. They got more talent. But the laziness was killing all of it. The lack of consistency was hurting them. They just didn't look good. And so they had to do something. You probably know by now, Texas A&M did win this game. They were down 27 points. They ended up scoring 28 unanswered points. They had to be aggressive in the second half. They were aggressive by the air. I think they made 2 touchdowns in the air, 1 on the ground. And then they had a big defensive stop at the very end to hold South Carolina from being able to score again. But they had to make it all up in the second half, which turned out to be their biggest comeback ever. That's what people are going to remember. But man, that first half is thing. As coaches, you got to focus on that first half. So how did they win? I think they won by 3 ways. One, they had superior talent. They were clearly the more talented team. I've already said that. Second, they had a great second half because they believed they can come back. And that's a big deal. You have to believe you can come back. And they did. They made adjustments. They believed. And the third thing is South Carolina also helped them by having a meltdown, right? They had the lead and they just completely collapsed in the second half. And those are the reasons why Texas A&M was able to come back. So that leads me to the second point I want to talk about. Don't rely on luck. Don't rely on talent. Okay? Rely on habits. Habits is what we do day in and day out. Build good habits. Do those good habits. It seems like laziness is still kind of there. We are our habits. Okay? So if you want to be fit, right? You do the things that fit people do. Was working out, eating well, good hydration, sleeping well, doing those things. If you want to be good at your work, you show up on time, do a little bit extra, you study, you perform a little bit better. Want to be a good athlete, focus on the fundamentals, play good first half, first good quarter, second quarter, every single quarter be consistent, right? Those are the habits they've got to build. And for them, they didn't have good habits. They just showed up very flat. And then they had to play the second half. They had to play a very strong second half. I tell this to my team all the time. Let's not be lucky. Let's be good. Let's not be lucky. Let's be good. And we do that, a lot of it, through habits, through our standards. So that leads me to the next point I want to make, the third point. Player-led teams really help avoid these collapses. It really helps avoid the complacency because the ingrained leadership keeps each other accountable. When it's head coach led, right? When the coach leads the team, it's easy to drift. It's amazing. I can say something and one of my players can say something and it's the exact same verbiage. It's going to land differently when their fellow teammate says it. And that's what we got to have layers of leadership built in to our teams. Okay. So I'm curious, do they learn their lesson? It's November. Do they learn their lesson? Are they going to be able to move on from this and start playing really good all 4 quarters? Not showing up assuming the other team's just going to get in the win. Or are they going to make the mistakes again? We'll see here because college football's getting close here. So let's talk about the second comeback, and that's my alma mater, University of Michigan. Maybe this one wasn't much on your radar as Texas A&M was, but there was a comeback win here. Michigan ranked number 18. Northwestern was unranked. Northwestern has the best defense I've seen all year. They're very, very good. It was at Northwestern, but really wasn't. It was in Chicago. It was at Wrigley Field, baseball field. It was phenomenal to watch that. So here's the challenge. Let's talk about how the game went. So unlike the Texas A&M game, Michigan and Northwestern were pretty close the first half. It was 7-6, Michigan up by 1 point going into half. Second half, Michigan started getting better and better. They were up 21-9 at 1 point in the third, and it looked like they were just going to cruise. And then everything fell apart. So A&M fell apart in the beginning. Michigan fell apart towards the end. How they fell apart. It was sloppiness. It was sloppy. By this point, their top two running backs were already hurt, so they were on the third and fourth string. Their All-American kicker had already missed 2 field goals, and then Michigan had 5 turnovers, 3 of them towards the end of the game, where it was Northwestern score, turnover, score, and it was all advantage Northwestern, and before you knew it, Northwestern was winning the game to 22-21 in the fourth quarter. It was frustrating as an alumni. So this leads me to the fourth point I want to share in this video. Okay, when your fundamentals break down, your confidence goes with it. The fundamentals are the basics. If you're getting a bunch of penalties and flags, if you're turning over the ball, if you can't kick a short field goal, these are basic fundamentals. Your confidence is going to start going down. So it's so important to be on top of the fundamentals. If I had to get angry at the coach at A&M, there's too much laziness and complacency. If I had to get mad with the coach in Michigan, I'd say the fundamentals need to be focused way more. Brilliance in the basics. So what do you do when you can't pass, when you can't run, when you can't kick? This was the dilemma Michigan found themselves down. And the other team, that was the other thing, Northwestern, they seemed very inspired. They seemed very confident, and they seemed very disciplined. This was the challenge they had. And that goes to my point number 5. And we have to give credit here with Michigan on this one. When everything goes wrong, belief and trust, you need it for a comeback. You need it for a comeback more than perfection, because they were far from perfect. They were making all these mistakes, but you have to believe and trust that you can still do it. Can you still come back? And that's what they did. Michigan believed they could still win. Sean Moore, their coach, trusted their kicker, even though he had missed 2 prior kicks. Zavala hit we call it a walk-off home run kick because it was in a baseball park, but as time expired, he made a decently long field goal to win the game and help the comeback. So Michigan ended up winning by 2 points, 24-22. A lot of lessons learned between the A&M and the Michigan game. But as a bonus, I'm going to give you a third comeback that happened the Saturday also. And that was my team, my high school basketball team. So if you don't know, I've coached college basketball for several years right now. I'm a varsity head coach for a high school team here in the Dallas, Texas area. And we played this Saturday. And unlike Michigan and A&M, who are clearly the more talented teams, my team was clearly not the most talented team. The other team had more talent, more athleticism, and more numbers, and I didn't. And we found ourselves in a tough position, especially with a lot of press, when my best player got hurt in the second quarter. Midway through the second quarter, we found ourselves down 20 without my best player, and we hadn't found a way to break the press properly. By halftime, we were down 12 points, and at this point, I have 5 players left. I have 4 on the bench hurt. I have 5 players left. 5. And one of them is a football player who just came over, had 2 practices, did not play basketball last year. And another is a freshman with 4 fouls. And if he gets his 5th foul, he's fouled out. And I already planned to forfeit the game because I didn't have any more players. That's where I found myself going into the second half of the game. What am I going to do? So that goes to point number 6 for me in this video. Okay. When you build leaders inside the team, you build resilience inside the team. You have to build multiple layers of leaders because that builds an amazingly strong form of resilience. That's what the Marine Corps is all about. Multiple leaders. You've heard me talk about it. And that's something I've been spending since I've been with this team. Everyone's a leader. Let's build multiple layers of leadership within the team. They encourage each other. They're emotionally involved. They believe in each other, and they're not going to stop fighting. My team doesn't stop fighting. They go very hard. It's the number one compliment I get every single game. You guys play harder than anyone else we've seen at this level. And point number 7, if you're going to make comebacks, clarity. Clarity is essential. Not chaos, clarity. Be very clear on what you're going to focus on. You have to make them believe. The belief is essential that we can do it. Tell them what to focus on. And that's what I had to do. I had to make adjustments. We pretty much adjusted my whole offense to try to find something different. I was very clear for them. In this case, I wanted a bunch of space. I wanted to focus on open 3-pointers. They go in great. If they're not, we had to get offensive rebounds to start itching closer to that score because we were down by so many points. And also focus on one possession at a time. We can't come back all in one possession, one at a time, which is very difficult when you got 5 players and no subs. And I'd already burned, I always forgot, I had 5 timeouts a game. I burned 4 timeouts in the first quarter, so I had 1 more timeout. So there's no more timeouts. I had to say that just in case. So we did crawl back. We crawled back. And in the fourth quarter, towards the end of the game, we finally took the lead. And it was unbelievable to take a lead when I had no subs in the situation I had. It got more dramatic towards the end of the game where we had the lead by 1 point. All we had to do was dribble the ball out. We threw it to my football player, and he took 4 steps at half court because he'd only been to 2 practices. The brilliance and the fundamentals is not there. We still got to work on catching on 2 and not traveling. So we turn over the ball. They get the ball. They miss a shot. We get a rebound. Call timeout. I draw up this plan. There's about 10 seconds left. And then they steal the ball in the inbounds, and the guy catches the ball and tries to shoot a 3-pointer immediately, steps out of bounds on accident. So I get the ball back. I drop a play, and then the last second, the refs come over here and be like, oh, the other coach claimed that he took a timeout when the guy stole the ball in the air before he stepped out of bounds, and we're going to give him the ball. So then we had to play defense. They had the ball. They inbounded it. They inbounded it to one of their good shooters who tried to shoot the ball over my big football player. My big football player put his hands up, and the guy shot the ball, flopped, classic, sticking out his legs, flopped, missed the 3-pointer, got the foul. With 0.7 seconds left, got the foul, had 3 free throws, and missed all 3. And we won the game 51-52. Man, 1 point. That leads me to the last point here that I want to make is leadership is contagious. Okay? When you have built leaders, you got to build leaders before the crisis. You can't do it during. You got to build it before. And it's not discovered in the moment. And that's what we've been doing, spending months building the leadership. That's what I'm good at. I've been great. I've been doing it for a long time. I build really high-performing teams, and I build good leadership. It's my bread and butter. That's what people pay me to do. And I'm doing it here for fun in high school basketball alongside, the businesses that I do. I love building, but you have to build it before. You can't do it in the crisis. Build it before. Challenge it. Stretch it. Those are things that we do in the Marine Corps. So anyways, let's wrap this up. Top 3 takeaways. Got them up here on my whiteboard. And we'll talk about those right now. So the first one, there were all 3 games. So the first one, complacency kills. You must respect your opponents. And if you don't, and you also need to respect, your standards. If you don't, you have what happened with Texas A&M in the first half. Second one, with the Michigan game, brilliance in the basics. They were so sloppy. The fundamentals always show up under pressure. And Michigan was under pressure, being behind, and they were sloppy. And they need to get better before they play that team down south, Ohio State. And third one, with my team, build leaders before you need them. Build them before you need them. Okay? Belief is stronger where leadership is shared, not centralized. Leadership can't be from one source. It's got to be spread throughout. And you as a leader build that. You build that. So those are 3 main takeaways from 3 different comebacks, all on the same day, this past Saturday here in November. And as I wrap this up, we are in November here, 2025, getting into 2026. I am going to start doing some live workshops, free live workshops to talk about how to crush 2025. There'll be 1-hour calls. They'll be over Zoom. It'll be presentations. You don't even have to dress up for it. You just show up. I will put the link below this in the description. I invite you to show up to learn from some of the things that I do with my clients on how to just crush 2026. Let's make 2026 the best year ever, and I will show you how you can do that. And as we wrap up this episode of Be a Leader, remember, whether you're leading yourself, leading others, or leading leaders, be a leader. My name is Daniel Pinedo. Until next time, thank you.